Hi everyone, this is Andre. Um, Today we're gonna talk about how acupuncture can help with psychological disorders or emotional well-beings. Um, so recently, actually not recently, in the past few years, I have seen quite a few patients with anxieties, depression, or any sort of emotional issues. Most commonly seen issue is being irritated or easily irritated, so they get angry very easily. This is quite common, and these patients after the treatment all found that they're more balanced, they're more calm than before. And recently, I have two patients who both have anxieties. One was work with children, so she works at a daycare center or something similar. So every Sunday she would start. The anxiety would kick in. That she would worry a lot about what's going to happen next day, and that it would actually affect her health. It's been going on for quite a while. And another patient is she's a little bit more serious, and she's constantly worrying about everything. Like even though some people, they tend to be more optimistic, and this person is the opposite. And whenever there's something different out of routine that comes up, and that would trigger her anxiety, and she would start worrying, and I can tell she's very stressed about the situation. And before traveling, she would be very she would become very negative about the trip, and then get very stressed and very worried. Both of these patients, after a course of treatment, all improved quite a bit. The first patient was she was pretty okay on Sundays. Now she's less worried about going to work on Monday. And the second patient, her family was actually quite surprised that before she went on her last trip, she actually made a few positive comments about the trip, and that was quite surprising for her family. So that's both are very good examples of how acupuncture help with anxiety. Also, another thing acupuncture can help with is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It can happen after a car accident, or after an earthquake, or a fire, or something like that, life-altering experience. And people can have nightmares after the event, or like a repeated dream about the event, or being afraid of something. There's one case I heard recently. It's from one of the speakers at a seminar. He said he knew a person who fought in Vietnam War, and after the war, he started to have fear about swimming pools. So whenever he thinks about swimming pool or goes near one, he would start to have like a really upset stomach, nausea, maybe vomiting. And so this person also learned a little bit about acupuncture, so he knew that okay, nausea and vomiting is a stomach issue. So, and he just kind of massaged the stomach the acupuncture point on the stomach meridian on his face. So he just kind of tap his faces whenever he thinks of it. And very surprisingly, after a while, he kind of went near a swimming pool again. He no longer had that nausea, vomiting issue, and then he was able to go into a swimming pool. And so that's something like we're quite surprised about it too, because it just simply just tapping and massaging a point can have such a profound effect. And there was also another case that I heard from another practitioner. He had a patient who has kidney problems for the longest time, probably since her childhood, and the doctor couldn't really find out what's the cause of it, even though he was treating it quite successfully, but maybe they hit a plateau, and then after like a couple sessions of digging in, and he found out that this patient used to live near the hospital. So we know people pass away in hospital, and then there's a morgue in the hospital to store the bodies. And this person was basically she was little, so she had a fear of dead people, and so for the longest time she was living near the hospital. That gave her a lot of fear, and that's why after a long time her kidneys were affected by the emotion. And so in Chinese medicine, with acupuncture or herbal medicine, we treat the kidney to kind of deal with the fear type of emotion. And here is the chart. And in an ancient text, there's a Yellow Emperor's inner canon that was written probably more than 3,000 years ago. We have, in Chinese medicine, we have 5 of the most important organs. They are liver, heart, spleen, lung, and kidney. So most people are familiar with liver, heart, and probably not familiar with spleen. So spleen is an organ that helps us with our digestion. So any digestive issue, spleen is the major player. And then with each of these 5 organs, there is something called 5 elements that are attached to it. So the liver belongs to wood, heart belongs to fire, spleen belongs to earth, lung belongs to metal, and kidney belongs to water. So these 5 elements have their own relationship. One is called intergeneration. The other one is called interconstriction. So any one of these elements helps generate the next element, and one of these elements helps constrict the one of these elements. So for example, you can think that wood generates fire because burning wood will create fire, and fire generates earth. After fire burns everything down, everything is turned into ash and returned to earth. Earth generates metals because we can find metals in our soils or in our earth. And next one is metal generates water. So if metal has been goes through a very high temperature, the water in the metal it gets evaporated, and metal kind of turned into a liquid. And then last one, water generates wood, so meaning like our plants need water to grow. So that's the intergeneration cycle. And the next relation that I said is interconstriction. So wood kind of controls earth. So for example, if there's a landslide, if there are lots of wood plant in the area, that can prevent the landslide. fire controls the metal because if metal has been exposed to high temperature, you would change its property turn from a solid into a liquid. Earth constricts water. So, for example, if there's a flood, the earth can kind of deal with the flood, kind of reduce the damage of the flood. And then metal constricts wood, because if you have a metal tool like an axe or a saw, you can chop down all the trees and plants. And last but not least, water can control fire, because water can put out fire. And each of these elements and each of the organs are attached with an emotion. So anger, liver controls anger, heart controls joy, spleen controls anxiety and worry, and lung controls sadness, and kidney controls fear. So if this person has, for example, an alcoholic person, because alcohol tends to damage our liver, when your liver is damaged, it can cause anger issue. And then if this person gets angry all the time, it can also damage liver. So that's like a bad vicious cycle. And you might notice, how come there are a lot of alcoholics who kind of end up being having domestic abuse towards their family. It's because they're angry all the time, because their liver is damaged. And then heart controls joy, and spleen anxiety. So a little funny joke that my teacher used to tell is that if you and your partner are in a long distance relationship, or you're living far apart, you can ask your partner if how's your appetite. Now, if your partner tells you that, I have a really poor appetite, I'm thinking about you all the time, then he's really, your partner is really thinking about you, because spleen controls our digestion and appetite. So when you're thinking, it can create anxiety or worry, and that would affect our digestive system. So if your partner's answer is, I'm eating a lot, I have a perfectly fine appetite, then you know this person is not really thinking about you at all. Another thing is with fear, that can, I mentioned PTSD, so a lot of people have fear after a life-altering incident or a car accident, and that would belong to fear. So whenever we have any of these angers, any of these emotions, you can treat the organs directly. Or another way is like I said, using the relationship between the 5 elements. So let's say if I have a a fear issue, I want to treat the water. What I can do is I can treat the metal, treat the lung to help with the kidney issue, or I can use I can treat the liver to have the wood to treat the spleen to have the earth to control the water. So something like that, and it's just so on and so on. So in Chinese medicine, we do have ways of deal with emotional well-being. And if you're suffering from anxiety, depression, and you don't want to take the antidepressant, you don't want to take the chemical drugs, acupuncture is also a very good option. It's very natural. Acupuncture only uses the energy from your body to help your body heal itself. So it's a very good option to look at. And I know there are a lot of side effects after you take the antidepressant drugs, but there are no major side effects with the acupuncture. So there's a question: how long was the massage? What massage? Which one? For the face. I honestly I don't know. He was just kind of tapping his face. That's what I heard. And I don't know how long he did it and how many times he tapped it. He just did it whenever he could. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it below. And that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.